WrestleMania RAW was absolutely wild. The biggest Monday Night Raw ever. Well, when it comes to the audience, not necessarily the show itself, yet I do believe the show did the job. You know, people, it's that time of WrestleMania build where we just wanna see the conclusion. There's not much to tell anymore, but we got Drew McIntyre trolling again, and we got that little taste of WrestleMania. We got to whoop that ass. You see that, Mama Rhodes? I'm doing exactly what Dusty should have done. The Rock is just on a whole different level, dude. Now, people, this is going to be a very busy week, but before we start with Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns is going to induct Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame, making it absolutely must watch. So I'm very excited. Seems like we're going to get so much freaking content. Like, maybe a bit too much. But you know what? I'm so excited about Mania, I'm not gonna complain. I feel like it's not just a catchphrase. This WrestleMania has the potential of being the biggest WrestleMania ever. So people, welcome back to the channel, welcome to Greatness of Raw. But before we jump into WrestleMania Raw, people, I wanna ask, what browser are you using? Because you should be using the sponsor of today's video, Opera. Opera is fully featured for privacy, security, and everything you do online. Let me tell you how convenient it is. First of all, you can customize the look to fit your needs, force dark pages. If you have any questions, you can use Aria AI, or you can ask AI questions and get answers instantly by either using the Opera sidebar or Aria's keyboard shortcut. You can also highlight any text you see on the internet, and Aria will give you an explanation, overview of the topic, or even translate it. Opera also has tab islands, so instead of your browser looking all messy, you can have like these tiny little folders and your tabs will be organized. What's also so great about Opera is that it already has a built-in VPN and ad blocker. You don't need to download anything, it's already in the browser. You guys know I love that pop-out feature. I can detach a video, keep on browsing, or even work on anything else while watching the video. Like I've said, Opera is very convenient. You have your sidebar where you can put all your social media, messengers, Aria AI, and music players. You don't need to open different tabs or even apps. Sometimes you like to take that screenshot and it screenshots the entire page. Well, with Opera, you can screenshot exactly what you want, and I'm sure you'll find it useful for pretty much anything on the internet. Opera is also a great choice if you're using a laptop. It has a battery saver, and you can browse up to an hour longer. It also has a brand new feature called Lucid Mode. If you find a blurry video on the internet, with a single click of a button, you can sharpen the video and improve its quality. And you can also compare the difference. People, when it comes to browsers, you ain't gonna find anything better than that. Make sure to click the link in the description and download Opera right now. The show kicks off with the final boss, The Rock. Massive pop for the people's champion right here. I made that boy bleed. He told him he's going to make him bleed, and he did. The only thing missing were the tears of Mama Rhodes on the belt. Do you have any Cody crybabies here tonight? Obviously a lot of chants. And then he laughs at the audience for crying, like adults were crying because Cody was bleeding. Man, this was so good. Like, he was so good, people started chanting Rocky. I mean, he's so entertaining, how can you hate the guy? Like, when we're going to see The Rock and Cody in the same ring at the same time, obviously people are going to chant for Cody, but when Cody is not there, people stop participating in the storyline and they're like, oh man, this is just so fucking good. He talked about children crying and showed a couple of videos of kids crying over Cody, and he says, I'm a proud father too. But here's something that The Rock is going to tell you. Get your kids in front of your TVs. There are moments in life when a man has to do what a man has to do. There are moments in life when people talk shit and shouldn't talk shit. The Rock has to beat that punk ass down over and over again. And of course, people are chanting Rocky. How can you not? He talked about the record for the largest domestic gate in the history of WWE RAW, congratulates the crowd. Finally, the final boss has come back to Brooklyn. We see the undisputed champion Roman Reigns. Acknowledge me. People are chanting yeet. No yeet. And if you're going to keep on doing that, I'ma leave. He called the crowd idiots again. He says this is going to be the easiest WrestleMania of all time. A tag team match to determine the stipulation? Come on. So he keeps on thanking The Rock. Calls Cody a politician again. And basically they're going to whoop some asses. It's also interesting how The Rock said that he made WWE or wrestling cool again. Like, that's the reason why WWE is sold out. That's the reason why people care about wrestling again. So obviously we got Seth Rollins. That is actually not true. You think you did all of this? You must be stupider than I thought. I'm not gonna make the same mistake. If you wanna fight, you're going to fight the whole city. Obviously because he saw what happened to Cody Rhodes. Now, it's interesting because he proposed a match. He wanted to face The Rock or Roman Reigns. And I'm like, I know where this is going. I know, obviously we're not gonna get that match, and that's understandable. We shouldn't get that match, but it's like, I know where this is Solo. It's gotta It's gonna be Solo. It is Solo. Of course, it's freaking Solo. Which is not that bad. I'm just saying, you know. I'm just saying. So The Rock and Roman said Solo is going to face you, and it's going to be Bloodline rules. Whatever that even means. I guess it's a no disqualification match, but the Bloodline can interfere. So it's a no disqualification match. So you may not be that excited about Solo versus Seth Rollins, and that's understandable. You know, Solo just keeps on losing. He has no credibility anymore. But at least we knew that since it's Bloodline rules, which is so different than no holds barred match, very different. Like a completely different stipulation. Hear me out. Let me explain. Let me explain. You don't understand. A no holds barred match is a match where holds are barred. No barred. It's a match where no disqualification, anything can happen. Anyone can interfere. But, hear me out. Listen closely. The Great One's talking. Bloodline rules is a match with no disqualification, and anybody can interfere, including the Bloodline. You see the difference? You see the goddamn difference right here. Drew McIntyre had Seth Rollins' funeral. Look in my eyes. What do you see? CM Punk has no match in Philly. What's heavier? A kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers? A kilogram of steel. Because steel is heavier. He says the world lost the opportunity to see an out-of-shape has-been main event WrestleMania. His body failed him worse than it did in the UFC. Now we're left with a thin-skinned man who saw Jared Leto as the Joker and built a personality around it. At WrestleMania, he'll take that broken down old horse behind the back and put him down once and for all. Again, outstanding stuff from Drew McIntyre. I swear to God, if he doesn't win that championship. Okay, I'ma get hate for this, but the whole you talk about my daughter? You talk about my daughter? That's kinda cringe at this point. Not every rivalry needs to be you disrespected my family. How many of these we have right now at the moment? I get it. I'm a dad too. I guess I know it's effective. Becky versus Rhea doesn't need that, like, at all. Former face of the women's division, current face of the women's division, that's all you really need. And this whole, you disrespecting my daughter, you don't talk about my daughter? Come on now. We have the worst theme song, and it's an 8-man tag team match. Some competitors from the ladder match met. The New Day and DIY versus the Judgment Day, which was pretty okay, you know, just kind of a filler before the ladder match, and the Judgment Day actually won, which is pretty interesting. Like, if they're going to lose the championships, it can't be against those teams now, right? So Roman Reigns announced that he's going to induct Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame. Paul Heyman thanked The Rock and kissed his hand. Love it. Absolutely love it. Did you know tonight's Monday Night Raw in Brooklyn is WWE's 13th consecutive televised sellout, starting a new WWE record? Yeah, I think I heard that like only maybe like 7 times. Maybe 6. We saw this very interesting video of Chad Gable training Sami Zayn, just basically Rocky vibes, with all the music, you know, and Sami was like, what are you doing? He tried to choke him out, he tapped out. You know, Chad was just motivating him.
I just choked somebody a little bit.
You know, you need to be ready for Gunther, and Sami says, okay, I'm afraid. I'm scared of letting people down, but of course Chad motivated him, and Sami is all ready now. That's why we got Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed again, and it was all going fine. You know, he was going for that W. He was ready for that W, but we got Gunther, and Gunther, you know, put down Chad Gable, so Sami Zayn tried to fight Gunther, got his ass kicked, even though he tried to get up, you know, he was still strong, but it's Gunther. Now, what's also interesting is that maybe I'm looking into it a bit too much, but maybe Chad Gable was completely fine, and this is just a setup, because I think one of the best case scenarios for this match is Chad Gable actually turning on Sami. Because Gunther, I don't feel like should lose, and Chad Gable turning on Sami could be a really decent rivalry and a great match for WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know. Maybe that's something you guys don't want to see. I think it's a pretty good, pretty good idea. Dominic brought Legado del Fantasma into Judgment Day's locker room. Damien doesn't appreciate that. This is the worst party of all time. Did they touch my darts, Dominic? I told them not to. This is interesting. It almost seems like Dominic is switching teams all of a sudden. It's obviously not the case, but like that would work, right? So we saw that match again. Indi didn't appreciate Candice cheating again, and that's how they lost the match. Eventually she's just going to be like, you're right, you know, it seems to be working. Jey Uso tells Seth Rollins he has his back. And then we saw Ricochet versus Ivar. So Ricochet is on a winning streak lately. This was actually pretty good. I keep telling you, Ivar is a pretty decent singles competitor. I like his shit. I don't even know why. Well, he's a big, you know, big dude. Like, woo, woo, only meat, no salad, shitting outside, no toilets, no toilet paper, only wood, shower, fuck that shit, extra layer of skin. But yeah, this was actually pretty good, and Ricochet picked up another W. Seems to be getting a push, but he's going to be in the SmackDown's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which we all know is very, very important. Super important. If JD McDonald's Big Mac Double Cheeseburger is not gonna take care of Ricochet, maybe Andrade will. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think Andrade is literally a babyface. Becky just wants to fight. Adam Pearce, though, got a lot of boos when he said, I can't sacrifice this big WrestleMania match. But we got Rhea Ripley. She took care of security. Who are they hiring, by the way? Who are they hiring? Seems like they just hired a bunch of men with my strength, which is not a lot, believe it or not. So we got this big brawl between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. Gonna be a very good match. Damage Control were in action in a 6-women tag team match, which was kinda pointless in my opinion, but again, they just needed to show that they're dominant. You know, yes, they're facing Bianca, Naomi, and Jade Cargill in the match. These 3 women, yes, in a team, but they're strong. So yes, they won the match. Gee, I wonder who's gonna win that one. So we got the main event, Solo Sikoa versus Seth Rollins, Bloodline rules. Thank God it wasn't just a no-holds-barred match. Now, pretty good stuff. This was basically your Extreme Rules match, obviously. Now, Seth Rollins was about to win. Very good spot, by the way. But we got Jimmy. Jay takes care of Jimmy. But we got the final boss. So this was a great brawl, man. Seth Rollins just smiling because Cody showed up. So they're fighting. I don't think anybody bought that The Rock is going to get put through the table. You know, we got Roman, and they just beat the shit out of these two. Rocky with the belt. Speaking of whoop ass, I think this was a very good way to conclude this build. Good stuff. Now, I want to talk about something. I haven't seen the WWE Legends biography or whatever it's called with Roman Reigns, but someone said on Twitter that Roman Reigns is going to retire after he loses the championship. Now, what that mean? Is he losing the championship or not? He's not losing the championship. Is he just full of shit? Well, anyway, that was your WrestleMania Raw. Not as good of an episode as last week's, but let's be honest right here, pretty tough to beat. Pretty tough to beat. And like I've said, we know what's happening. We saw everything. Now we just need those conclusions. Like, these episodes are not even that important anymore, in my opinion. But I think we got the best we could. So thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you already didn't. Like this video. The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.